All right, what is going on, everyone? Today we are back with another podcast. This is actually our first podcast where we're talking about the NHL. As you can see, we're both Canucks supporters, and today we're going to be talking about a couple points in specific. We're going to be talking about the Canucks' last game against the Kraken. We're going to talk about the future and the upcoming games, and we're going to talk about a couple other things that we noticed going on. So, Max, do you want to start us off?
All right, so the Canucks just had a strong game against the Kraken. It was probably one of their strongest of the year, I'd say. Definitely much stronger than their first game against the Kraken,
right.
because last time they played them, they did have Travis Green behind the bench.
They did make a great comeback, though.
They did. That was one of their best games with Travis Green. But still, they shouldn't be relying on a third period goal against probably one of the worst teams in the NHL.
Of course.
So I think that game really showed the difference between the two teams, because the Canucks just looked much stronger, and I think the Canucks are really trying to push for this playoff spot. You can tell by the players, they're looking like much more into it. They look more alive. And those are just some of the things I noticed. But a couple of things we were going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the bottom six playing well. And we were talking about the Canucks getting that first goal, which I think is one of the most important parts of the Bruce Boudreau era, because they didn't really get that first goal with Travis Green. They would always be relying on a comeback and pulling their goalie in the third period. So now they're making it easy on themselves, and they're getting that first goal advantage.
That's right. So, obviously, going back to the game, was it against Columbus? They were down 3-0 in the first period.
Yeah.
So they did make a great comeback,
yeah.
right? But, that is not ideal. It's fun to see as a fan, but as a player, when you're on the ice and you're working your ass off to score 4 goals, that's just way too tough. So I think definitely if they can start off with that new Bruce Boudreau style of play where they want to be fierce, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bruce wants them to attack. They want to be ready to go right when they start the first period. If they can do that, then I think they can grab a goal. But it will definitely be tough in the future. For example, we have a game, home game on January the 8th. We're recording this before then, but they're playing the Senators, and I think that's almost a guaranteed win.
Should be. They just lost, I think, was it 6-0 to Toronto?
6-0, that's right.
So
Disgusting.
They got hammered hard. And we also played them really well with Travis Green.
Yeah. After the Senators, shit is going to get tough. We played the Lightning on it's a road trip. We played the Panthers, the Lightning, the Hurricanes, the Capitals, and the Predators. And those are all playoff teams, as you said.
And they're all strong playoff teams.
And they're not going to mess around. So,
it's going to be a tough road trip.
Yeah, it definitely will be. But, maybe some things will change because, this is the first, actual road trip out of our division with Bruce Boudreau. Because, maybe things will change. It does look tough. But I think that with a penalty kill, for example, they were 64% with Travis Green, which is
I think it was the worst
number
in NHL history through first 25 games.
Yeah, it was. And now they're up to 87%.
Yeah,
which is
I think top 10 in the league.
Yeah, that's just such a crazy difference to me.
Yeah.
So the defense is getting stronger, and I think that just there were a couple weird lineups. If I can go back to the game last night, there were a couple weird lineups. I saw Dickinson just playing with Miller, I think at one point or something like that. It's weird, but I mean, hey, it
seems
worked.
to be working.
It worked, right? Another thing is we do have to stay in bay and remember this is Seattle.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed is Grubauer sucks.
Yeah.
I thought he was a great goalie. I went to see Canucks play Seattle in the pregame season.
Preseason, yeah.
Or the preseason, yeah, sorry. Preseason game. And I thought he was great because he picked up a shutout. Obviously, we played all of our Abbotsford guys, but it was shocking.
He was a Vezina contender last year, nominated.
He was.
So.
And you know why that was? It's because he played on Colorado.
Exactly.
It's because Colorado's a good team, and they made a shit goalie look like a really good one.
Exactly. That's what I thought, too, because he's kind of been a backup his whole life. And he gets that starting role with probably the best defense in the NHL with Cale Makar leading the way.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, so definitely a little bit different there when you change to a not so great team like Seattle.
Yeah. I think they just don't know what they're doing yet, and it's the first season. So.
Yeah, because I think we were spoiled by Vegas' success.
Yeah, truly, we shouldn't expect much.
No.
It's like it's a new team,
and also they just had their best player Brandon Tanev tear his MCL or something, so he's out for the season.
Yeah.
So a tough start to the franchise, but I think they'll eventually get better. But one other thing I'd like to say. Would you like to see a Winter Classic with Vancouver and Seattle?
Yes.
I think that'll happen.
That would be my dream, actually.
That would be so cool.
To see those amazing Seattle colors. The only thing I like about the Kraken is their colors and their logo and everything.
They're great.
And just to see them play at, where would it be? You think Century Lake?
I would think, where the Seahawks play.
Yeah,
I forget what it's called now.
Maybe just Burnaby Lake,
Yeah. Well, I heard some people say Whistler would be a cool.
Whistler would, but I feel like that's just.
They probably don't have really a rink area.
No,
for that.
Unless you want to play in like a fucking barn or something.
Yeah.
But no, I think the way to do it would be CenturyLink, and I did see a post on Instagram on Sportsnet because they were talking about the Winter Classic for 2023. Everyone wants to know what it is because this year's Winter Classic was insane. It was negative 23 in Minnesota, right? So everyone's kind of talking about it, and I'm just saying I would love to see it be Canucks and Seattle.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is. Nobody really cares about the Canucks from an NHL point of view. No one cares, and Seattle's a new team, so I think we are going to have to wait a little bit longer for that.
It'll probably be Chicago again, let's be real. But I think that's something to look forward to for the Northwest hockey fans.
Yeah. I wouldn't even mind. I wouldn't even mind seeing the Leafs and Canadians. Obviously.
Yeah.
Would you prefer the Leafs and Canadians?
Honestly,
over
I don't know
Seattle?
if they even have played each other. I know Toronto has played Detroit a couple times, and I think they're playing Buffalo this year in a Stadium Series game. But it seems to be a little bit reusing the same teams over in the Winter Classic.
Oh yeah, they definitely do that every year.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure really, I think this is Buffalo's second or third outdoor game this year.
Who gives a shit?
And they're the worst team, and they're probably the most boring team to watch. So I think they should really kind of change it up. Mm-hmm. I saw that with Minnesota, St. Louis. Those are two teams I probably wouldn't expect to be announced. So I think that was good.
I guess so.
And also the jerseys looked great for both teams.
Really? No, I didn't like Minnesota's too much.
They were very retro.
Yeah.
They're very retro.
I don't know. The colors just didn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
But we are moving away from topic here, but just to stay on topic, Max, what do you think about Canucks playing without Brock Besser last night and the night before? Actually, I think it's been 3 games now that they've played without him.
Yeah. I think you can definitely tell that they're missing a piece there in the top 6 because you could see the bottom 6 guys were picking up points. Mm-hmm. You could see Garland maybe taking his role on the power play. I saw him often. Besser, I'd love to have him back soon because we're kind of missing that strong power forward, which Pettersson isn't. Because I've noticed Pettersson isn't playing that well right now, so I'd love to see a bigger, stronger guy with Pettersson playing.
That's right.
I think that Besser makes Pettersson a better player. So I think he has a very big influence on the whole team.
Yeah.
And he's been picking up a lot of goals lately. I know you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So to talk about Besser's goals, he did not have a single goal in the last 13 games with Travis Green.
Yeah.
But before he went into protocol under Bruce, he had 5 and 6. Which is pretty amazing numbers in my opinion.
Big turnaround.
That's such a great turnaround. But the other thing about Besser is I think we forget he's not a long-term injury. It just feels like it because he's such a key piece to us.
Yeah.
So we got to remember he probably doesn't have that much longer until he's back and starting. And listen, he's still gonna score a lot of goals. So I don't see what the problem is. But just a question about this does regard him because he was in COVID protocol. But do you think we might get a repeat of last season where Canucks dealt with a lot of COVID problems and issues last season, and that, in my opinion, that really screwed up their season.
Yeah,
that's why we did so horrible. So with COVID, I guess the better question is, without COVID, do they stay strong?
Well, it depends who ends up in COVID protocol, of course. I think this could really hit them hard if a couple more players like JT Miller. I'd say if Demko gets COVID, that could be a huge issue for them.
Yeah.
So we need to keep him nice and safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited, or not excited to see, but I'm interested to see what happens to Calgary because they were playing really
That's right.
good and they got hit really hard by COVID.
Yeah.
So
Now-
we'll see if they can come back from that.
Okay, now looking at the standings, actually, speaking of Calgary, they have 29 games played, and Canucks have 34. So Flames are 5 games behind, but when it comes to points, Calgary has 38 and the Canucks have 35. So honestly, I think they're fine. I think Calgary will do just fine.
They will, yeah. But the Canucks they seem to... Well, we said when Bruce came in, he said, I want to win 2 out of every 3, which they've exceeded. And I think the Canucks will end up in the top 5 of the Pacific for sure by the end of the season. So we'll see them compete, and I'm excited to see because there's a lot of good teams in the Pacific right now.
That's right, which is actually surprising, you know?
Yeah, because this is probably labeled as the worst division, and I also thought it was too. But teams like Edmonton, and probably the most surprising team of the year, Anaheim has been playing so well. But I'm glad we got to pick up the win against them in overtime. So that was a much needed win.
Yep.
And we've got a lot of division games coming up, so the Canucks are going to need to pick up a lot of points there.
That's right. So just talking about like filling in like players like what do we do if we lose Miller? You know what I mean? Or like worst comes to worst, if we were to lose Horvat or Miller or Demko, I mean, it's just a couple games, but like seriously, that could really impact us.
Yeah, because it's going to come down to 2 or 3 games at the end of the season, probably for a playoff spot.
Yeah,
so.
And it just really sucks that like it's like, what if we fired Travis Green earlier? You know, what if that were to happen? But listen, about stepping up, it is going to get tough. It is not an easy road ahead. So I'd love to see players like Pearson. Pearson was able to grab a goal.
He got player of the game last night.
He did. He grabbed a goal and an assist, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So players like him could step up. Even the other guys, Tyler Mott, for example.
Yeah, he's been playing well.
Lamico's great check, and then who was it? Matthew Highmore with the assist.
Yeah.
Like, I just think guys like that, they need to know, like, look, we are fighting to the death here. We need to step up, and hopefully players like Pearson will get the message, and I think they could do it, you know?
Yeah, you don't really notice those players like Tyler Mott, Pearson, Lamico, but they have been playing so well under Boudreau.
Yeah, especially because they are the players who are on the penalty kill.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah.
And thanks to them, we are conceding a lot less goals.
Oh, yeah, a lot less. And that's probably one of the most important parts to building a playoff team is to limiting the power play goals you're giving up. So Bruce Boudreau has really changed his team. And yeah, I can't really say anything else. Like, Boudreau has single-handedly like changed this whole franchise.
I would say that all the credit goes to him. Like Jim Rutherford, I still haven't seen that guy once, you know?
Yeah.
He's just like an old guy.
He's probably learning how to build the team, and my prediction is he's kind of teaching the Sedins how to become management role player or management role workers, I guess. So because he's a very experienced guy, but he probably won't be around for more than 3 years because he's very old, and I think he's probably going to retire.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what happens because there are going to be some changes probably. And I'm suspecting a trade with Jim Rutherford at the trade deadline.
Or because he does love to trade.
He loves to trade kind of big players. And he said that he'd love to get Connor Bedard. So
I mean, me too. If he was playing with his boy Tyler Mott, that'd be great.
Could we see? My prediction was, or not prediction, but a little thought. Would you trade Pettersson for the first overall pick next year, or for Arizona's first pick or something? Because personally, I see Pettersson as being one of the lowest performers right now, and he's not really excelling his game unlike everyone else.
Wow. That is so you would take the first pick over Pettersson?
For if it was Bedard or that Michkov guy in Russia, I think I would.
Wow.
Comparing to what Pettersson's doing right now. I love Pettersson, but he's just not performing right now, and I think just something's wrong with him.
Okay.
But we'll see kind of later in the season. But I'm hoping he ramps it up soon. But players like Besser, we've seen change automatically. JT Miller has been ramping up, and also Horvat, but Pettersson hasn't.
There's one thing you forget. All those guys. Who did you just name? You named Pettersson, Miller, and Horvat. Like, those guys were at training camp.
Exactly.
Pettersson was not.
That's
and I think a lot of it is just it's the injury.
Yeah.
It's the training camp. And it's just an off season, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's shout out my boy J. Cole. It's just an off season, you know. But
Quinn Hughes also skipped training camp too, though, and he's playing really well.
Okay, well then maybe it's just
I think he's just personally. I think Quinn Hughes is more of a talent than Pettersson.
Really? Okay.
Like, who would you rather have, Hughes or Pedersen? Because I think I'd have to take Hughes.
Yeah, he is putting up some crazy numbers.
He's
honestly.
at 29 points.
If you look at him, like people are talking about guys like Adam Fox and who else, Victor Hedman. He is only like a step below those guys.
Oh yeah,
and like he's so young as well, where it's like he's still 2, 3, maybe even 4 years away from his prime. Like give the kid time, and he will be amazing. So I would choose Hughes over Pedersen if I had to give one away. But back to what we were talking about with the number 1 pick, I would not take the number 1 pick because listen, as good as a number 1 pick sounds, and you know we're always chapped when Canucks do awful in the draft. But look, like who was the number 1 this year? Who was it?
It was. Oh, Owen Power.
Owen Power.
And
right.
he's not playing right now, but I think he'll be good, but he's not a franchise. People say he's not the generational talent.
Well, let's just look in the past. Lafreniere.
Yeah.
What has he done?
He's
like Rasmus Dahlin.
Yeah.
What has he done?
Exactly.
You know? And I think we just have so much expectations for these kids. Of course there's Connor McDavid, but that's Connor McDavid, right? Mm-hmm. So, but just the number 1 pick is like everyone wants it, and I don't know why people are so surprised when these young kids end up just tanking.
Yeah, because I think personally,
like Jack Hughes.
Yeah.
Look at Jack Hughes. That guy is
he's playing good
Jersey.
now.
Yeah, but
I
he's
think
had a couple games this season,
yeah.
But you know, it's just like look at last season, even the season before. Like his brother was outscoring him, and his brother's a defenseman, and he's a forward. Like I don't know, man. I just think
they start them too early. I think they should have a couple more years of development after they're drafted.
Okay.
One or maybe probably just one. But we've seen the success with Pedersen, Hoglander, Hughes. But they've all had 1 year of development after they're drafted.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
So that could be a big reason because Lafreniere, right away, he did not look great. Now he's kind of picking it up, but he's still not a franchise player.
Yeah, no. Especially because like I feel like he's just honestly in the shadow of Panarin. Panarin's having such a great season, you know.
Like we talk about Capo Caco. I literally have not seen a highlight of him probably in the last 2 years. But I don't really watch many Rangers games.
One youngster I will give it to though is Kaprizov.
Yeah, Kaprizov.
That guy is awesome.
But he technically is not really a youngster because he's like 24 now. Because he did play 3 or 4 years in the KHL. But,
right, okay.
But we see that's more experience in a maybe lower league.
Yeah, exactly.
Can build your confidence, and that could really help a young player.
That's right.
So we'll see what happens to Connor Bedard and Michkov. I bet they both come into the league right away.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it's better for them to do a year before.
And I think it is. I think it definitely is. So Max, back to the game against the Kraken. Talk to me about that hit on Garland.
Yeah, so it looked a little bit cheap. I wouldn't say it's suspendable. But kind of Garland kind of got the puck at the red line, kind of passed it backwards, and he's turning to go up the ice after he's passed the puck. And I forget who it was, but kind of laid the shoulder right into him. It looked cheap, but the thing is, Garland is a very small guy.
I was going to say that. He is only 5'8", which we have to keep in mind.
And I'm sure, I should know who this is, but I forgot who it was. Is probably much taller, and his shoulder's probably already at his head.
That's right.
So I wouldn't say suspendable, but I think it should have been a penalty. I'm not sure if it was.
I don't think no, because it was just 5 minutes for fighting, which it was. Back to my man, it was Pearson who went for the fight, which is great because he stepped up, he got an assist, he had a fight, and he scored a goal.
Gordie Howe hat trick. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's the first one in a while for a Canucks player. So.
Yeah, but I think definitely in my opinion that was a really cheap hit. You could go to the league if you wanted for that, but maybe just a quick fine or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no doubt about it in my mind that should have been a penalty. That should have been a penalty. There's no way in any world that it wouldn't have been. But it just sucks that had to happen.
Yeah. So did you want to talk about that bottom six kind of filling in the spots?
Yeah, so we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Lamico had a great hit, which led to Highmore setting up Mott, and that gave us a goal.
Right.
And it's just amazing to see these players like Brock Besser, who is our star right now, whether you like it or not. He's our star. With him gone, it's like the other guys are gonna have to push forward, and
that's what I've seen with Garland.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a different time for players right now. So the players who are used to playing in who like Besser, for example, he played in his starting season was I got his card right here actually. Yeah. His starting year was 2018, right?
Right.
So we got to remember that he played before COVID, but I think a lot of players still have to fully adjust to the fact that like COVID's going nowhere, and we are gonna lose some of our star players.
Players are gonna need to step it up.
If only McDavid would just get COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, he did last year, but just get it again. But
that would just help everyone out.
It would actually.
Just set it. Yeah, just make it even a little bit.
Especially us Pacific fans. That'd be great.
We love it.
But yeah. Those players are gonna have to step up, and the one good thing I gotta say though is from the guys that have got COVID, who had it, Hunt, Tucker Poolman,
Luke Shen, I think,
Lamico, like they aren't our star players, right?
Yeah.
So that it does suck that we're losing numbers, but I mean, I think we just got to be thankful we haven't lost Hughes, we haven't lost Demko, So
because eventually I think it might happen. But,
there's always, I think nowadays people are saying, everyone's going to get COVID or whatever. But, what about hockey teams? Is every hockey player going to get COVID because they're all so close together? I don't know. But, it would be tough to see another, like a repeat of last season.
Yeah.
But just the bottom 6 players, like, just back to it, we need to step up, especially like even it doesn't even have anything to do with COVID, but just the fact that we have so many tough games ahead of us, and that we have like a chance at the playoffs. If we're gonna push as hard as we can make the playoffs. But for the players, like I'm telling you, someone like Jake Virtanen, if Jake Virtanen was still here, like I think Bruce would just ship him out. Like
he'd be benched.
Yeah, just because it's like, look, if you're not here to try your ass off, like. Leave the team.
He put more effort into his table at the Roxy, so
and just chugging beers on lake.
On
lake.
So I think that was maybe a rare W for Jim Benning, maybe shipping him out. But So did we want to talk about? One thing I want to talk about is the Canucks have had such a better start with Bruce Boudreau, and they had 14 shots to Seattle's 6 in the first period. And I think that was huge towards their great start, which they got 2 goals in the first period.
Sorry, it was Podkolzin who scored.
Podkolzin and Hoglander.
Hoglander. Okay.
So more kind of middle guys stepping up because JT Miller no points last night with five goals scored, no points.
Surprising.
Pedersen no points with 5 goals scored. So we see these guys stepping up, and I think that's really important for the Canucks right now.
Okay. Anyways, I just think that those guys, you're right. They did play well together. Podkolzin and Hoglander, and one of my buddies actually does have Hoglander on his fantasy team, which is a bit shocking because Buddy's only got like how many points? Like I'd say he's got less than 15 this year for sure.
Yeah.
Right? So a little bit surprising, but I just want to say like I think give him another year and Hoglander could maybe become a second liner. I think So it
13
says
points.
Yeah, in 34 games, which is pretty ridiculous, but I just think hopefully soon he can find his boost, and
because I know in that Columbus game he was the best player, I think.
Really?
And I think the game before, I forget who it was, but I was at that game, and kind of right when Travis Green was on the ropes to when I think they won a couple games before Travis Green got fired, he was the best player trying out there. So I think he's a really important player, maybe in a playoff push and in the playoffs, he's that guy who can step up, kind of what we saw to Tyler Mott in the bubble.
Right, he did.
So he stepped up and really proved his name. So I think Hoglander could be that kind of player that they need for the playoffs. And those players, some of those players maybe don't play good in the regular season. Like one names that come to mind is Joel Ward. You would never see him in the NHL regular season, but he would always score that overtime goal in the playoffs.
What team was he on again?
He was on Washington, and he was very important to them winning the cup.
Yeah, he was.
So players like that kind of who know how to score, but they score at the right time. Maybe like a Divock Origi of NHL.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, listen. So a lot of what we've talked about here today is playoffs, because that is kind of as Canucks fans, I think that is our goal. You know? We weren't able to get that 10-game win streak, which that is a little bit of a disappointment, but hey, you're not going to win every game.
They still are undefeated in regulation, though. It was a shootout loss.
Yeah, I guess so.
But still, it's not a perfect record.
No, it's not. But just back to talking about the games we have ahead, like a bottom 10 team that we face, like I think the only teams that we play that are below us in the future is the Blackhawks, and that's January 31st. So this next month is really gonna like make Boudreau have to prove how good he is to us. Like our game with the Leafs. Do you remember? It did get canceled. due to COVID. But I just think, look, that would have been a really tough game, and that wasn't really the game he proved. Maybe the game he proved himself, you could say, was the Anaheim game, because a lot of the teams we've been playing, the Kings, the Sharks, the Kraken, the Blue Jackets game he proved himself, but I'm just saying...
That Anaheim game, he proved that he can win a game when the team doesn't really play well. Because
that's right.
They didn't play that well. They were outshot by at least 10 goals. But they managed to pull through and get the W, which is a good way to go for a regular season.
Yeah.
And they're going to need those kind of grinded out games.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially upcoming against, listen, they play the Panthers. They play them twice in 10 days, once at home and once in Florida. So it's going to be tough for sure.
Yeah.
But hopefully, just on the road, they play the Panthers. Tough game. Lightning, tough game. Hurricanes, decently tough. Capitals, tough game, Hopefully they can just, out of those 4 games I just listed, at least just one win and maybe an overtime loss.
Yeah.
Even though, this season it really doesn't seem like the Canucks are messing around in overtime. We got big boy JT Miller.
Yeah, he always clutches up.
Yeah, he, even what he did in, against, LA, no, sorry, it was the Ducks. Yeah, that's right. He just, that was 23 seconds into play.
Yeah.
So I think overtime is going to be a serious factor for us this season.
Yeah, because those are important points, especially against Pacific Division teams.
That's right. But I think another thing we're forgetting is that we are not halfway through the season.
No.
We have not hit the 41 mark yet. We still have 8 games to go. Right. But I think there's a serious chance of us making playoffs.
Yeah.
And this is I'm sure there's a little bit of bias if there's any Flames fans or Oilers fans hearing this, hearing some guy down in 7th place talk about how we're going to, lap your team and make it up to top 3. It might sound crazy, but listen, I think there's a good chance.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to ask you how many points you think we want to get here, but you actually said that. So I will say my prediction.
All right.
So they've got a big road trip against 4 playoff teams probably. I'm going to say they need at least 2 wins on this road trip.
2 wins.
2 wins out of 4.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if it's
overtime. Who would you hope that would be? I think Hurricanes is our best chance
they
of
can,
a win.
because they already beat the Hurricanes this year.
Yeah.
And they looked pretty strong against them.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to say the Capitals. The Capitals, who are a strong team right now, but they're not as good as the Lightning or Panthers, because we're both, I'd say, one of those teams is going to be in the final, probably. The Lightning or the Panthers.
I mean, yeah, I could see Lightning going 3 for 3 if they three-peat. But
yeah, but the Panthers, I think they got 9 on...
They did. They crushed them.
So I think the Panthers are a real deal this year.
I mean, that was without Vasilevsky.
Yeah,
but it's still a 9.
They'd probably get 6 or 7 if it wasn't it was Vasilevsky.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm gonna say 2 wins out of 4.
2 wins,
and
out of
I'd
4.
say 2 wins out of 4 would be a successful road trip.
Okay.
And then they've got a couple home games here and there, and then they're back on the road again.
Okay.
So it's gonna be an important road trip. And like I said, 2 out of 4 would be perfect for me.
Yeah, just looking at this, I think this is going to definitely be the toughest road trip that they face.
Yeah.
And it's their first real test. Bruce's first real test in the NHL, so hopefully they can just scrape by with a win. I think 1 win.
1 win would be acceptable, I'd say.
When was the last time you heard a team go 7 wins, a loss, a win, and then what? We'll probably beat the Senators. I hope so.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden just 4 losses, no way. So I can expect 1 win, an overtime loss, and hey, maybe they get lucky, maybe they surprise us all.
Yep.
So that would be really lucky.
There's always a chance Ovechkin could get COVID and stuff.
Yeah,
I would love for that to happen.
Yeah, that's just what a lot of the league is relying on right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting factor.
Pray your all-stars don't get COVID.
Yeah. What would happen if the All-Star game got COVID?
That all the good players.
Yeah.
So we have to play Tyler Mott on
the first line.
Oh my god.
That would be interesting. So maybe one other thing I wanted to get to the All-Star game. Maybe we can do All-Star predictions in another video.
Okay, sounds good.
But I was gonna say, who would you take for the All-Star game from the Canucks only? We'll just do the Canucks for today.
Okay, sounds good. So I remember what was it? I think it was 2 years ago. It was the 2021.
Okay.
The Canucks had 3 All-Stars there. They had Quinn Hughes, they had Pettersson, and they had Markstrom. Yeah, that's right. But that is also because I think it was Fleury that got injured or something.
Yeah.
So he couldn't come.
Yeah.
So I think as a goalie,
I think Demko has to be there.
Yeah, because in my opinion, he is a Vezina goalie.
I'm a little bit biased, but I think he should be nominated this year because the Canucks don't have that best defense. They probably have a bottom 15 defense in the league, and he is carrying them through games.
Yeah, like who do you play as your goalie from the Pacific? Like you could say, I mean, okay, listen. So, Golden Knights, you don't play Fleury. Ducks, John Gibson's a maybe. Markstrom, he doesn't even play every game, but he's been really good. He is probably the best.
Yeah.
You know? When he plays, he's a star. Oilers, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Quick
has been good this year, but I would say
he's too old, you know?
I would put Demko and Markstrom above him.
Yeah. The Sharks, no, they don't have a good goalie. And Kraken, we already talked about.
Grubauer is not making it.
He sucks.
We can confirm.
So, yeah, for my goalie, I would hope for Demko. You know, of course, he loves those show-stopping saves where everyone.
He did another one last night.
Yeah, Sportsnet always has to post, Demko just did that whenever he makes a save.
Snatcher.
And you know what, I'm not complaining. Yeah, show my goalie. He's nice with it. But yeah, listen, but for a skater, I'd have to go with JT Miller. JT Miller is on par for a 90-point season. He's kind of gone under the radar, which is really annoying because do you guys remember what Connor McDavid did against the Rangers? Is he went through 4 players. Like JT Miller did the exact same thing a couple weeks later,
against
but
Ottawa.
He started on his side.
Yeah.
Which in my opinion, JT Miller did better in that. Even Cale Makar. I'll over of those 3. The McDavid going through the whole team, Miller going through the whole team, and Makar, I'd probably place Miller the highest, McDavid, and then Makar. But I'm just saying that Miller has really gone under the radar.
Yeah,
for me this season. It's surprising. It's like this guy is scoring goals left, right, and center. He's swearing. You can hear him on TV.
Oh yeah, I love it. Dropping F-bombs everywhere.
Love to see it. So yeah, I'd hope to see him and. Yeah, I said it before. Quinn Hughes, one of the best defensemen in the league right now.
Oh yeah.
He picks up a lot of points. He has a good plus minus. But yeah, I would go with. I mean, 3 is kind of like okay, come on, you're being a little bit biased here. But
I think it's.
I don't think it's the end of the world.
Also, we have to say it's only for Pacific Division, and
that's right.
There's not many other amazing defensemen I would put over Quinn Hughes in the Pacific, like the Cale Makar, Adam Fox.
Those guys
McAvoy,
don't play.
They're all
Pacific.
Not in the Pacific. So
yeah, I now looking at it,
Shea Theodore would probably be the second best, I'd say.
You could even put Alex, what's his face? I have him on my fantasy team. I don't know, but he just came off of injury. I can't remember his name. But there's a couple guys on Vegas, but the Ducks are so forward. They do so much with their forwards, Flames, they do have Tanev, who's great, and he's always
not
have
an all-star.
Yeah,
though.
he'll always have a special place in my heart. But Oilers they have 2 players, man. The Kings Drew Doughty, but Quinn Hughes is better than him. So I would say it would have to be Quinn Hughes for me.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
Yeah, I actually have the same 3: Demko, Hughes, and Miller.
Okay.
Kind of for the same reasons. JT Miller has been, if you're getting 90 points in the NHL, you probably should be an all-star, which he's on pace for. And you never know, with Bruce Boudreau, he could ramp it up to 100. Maybe, probably not going to happen, but there's a chance.
100 points. I think the last guy to do that was probably Daniel Sedin.
Yeah, when he won I think he won the Hart Trophy in 2010 or something. Yeah. So I'd love to see a new 100-point player for the Canucks because we just haven't really had that great goal scorer, point getter.
Yeah.
We're kind of spread out. But yeah, Hughes has been playing great. I think almost 30 points in around 33 games, which is great for a defenseman, especially on the Canucks, who he doesn't have a lot of help around him.
No, he doesn't.
Let's be honest. And Demko, of course, we've talked about him all the time. He's been great as well. So those have to be my 3 as well for the All-Star game.
Yeah, guys, so we do have the same predictions today, but in the comments, let us know who you would like to see as your All-Star for the game coming up at the end of the month. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.